Good morning, everybody. John Spielke here with GAI Insights for our GenAI news briefing. We have Luda Kopkina, Ankash Mohindra, Ashish Bhatia, who is the product lead at Audible, and my co-founder Paul Beyer. We got lots going on today. Everything from an amazing new paper that talks about how ChatGPT is actually used by 700 million people, billions of data points. As a data geek, it's really quite exciting, all the way through new kinds of automation using Jupyter Notebook. So, Ankash, first article, please. Please, if you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe. And if you want to look at the articles in real time, you can look at gaiinsights.com/articles. And also, you can sign up for our newsletter if you prefer the condensed version of this in text. All right. Akash, first article, please.
Sure, John. So the first one that we have for today comes from OpenAI, and they have introduced updates to Codex.
Yeah, I got some really, looks like pretty substantial upgrades to Codex. Ashish, what do you think here?
Yeah, very interesting update from OpenAI. First of all, they've upgraded the version of Codex to GPT-5. They have brought in something called Codex CLI, or Codex CLI was already there, but they've kind of beefed it up. And they have integrated Codex into many more surfaces than earlier. It's also available in almost all price point, I would say, except the free tier. And then you can even get it working on the iOS app, which is amazing. And one of the other things they've done is they've done a sync. So if you're moving between environments, then your work kind of carries over seamlessly. So whether you're working from home or kind of at work or between IDs, or maybe even while driving or in your commute working on the iOS app, you could get stuff seamlessly kind of transitioned across. So that's just one aspect of it. I feel CLI is super interesting. I mean, we use some of that at a CLI interface at work as well. The good thing about CLI is it has access to all your kind of local files and stuff like that. So you can kind of bring that to bear as you're working with the CLI tool. They've also given Codex now access to the web, so it can download kind of packages and things like that on kind of request. So it will not always by default have access to the web, but you can kind of bring those packages online. So I would say it's an important announcement for anybody who's using AI assistants for coding. Oh, I forgot. The code review part is another interesting part of it, right? You could use AI to do code reviews as well now.
Yes, I had it ranked as important as well. Luda, what do you think?
Yeah, important. But I kind of felt that they're trying to really push on it and catching up to Anthropic, because Claude is a preferred choice for now by the developers. And I think OpenAI wants to be on the action. And so that's a good push. I think a lot of really good features. So we'll see how the competition evolves, but important.
All right, Ankash, we're going important here. What do you think?
Important for me as well, John, for all the reasons that Ashish and Luda mentioned. Important for me as well.
All right, Paul, you good? It's a product announcement.
Yep, it is a product announcement.
Yeah, all right, important.
I mean, Dash over, founder of HubSpot, liked it. Was impressed. So, but important.
Yeah, John, one more thing I would love to add is one of the things that I recently heard was just like people had range anxiety with the early EVs, like developers have started to have token anxiety as they're starting to use these tools and their monthly quota or stuff. That was very funny and interesting.
That's great. Token anxiety. All right. Important it is. Akash, next.
Okay, the next one that we have for today comes from HBR, and it talks about how successful sales teams are embracing agentic AI.
All right. Not the prejudice. We have talked about how this is incredibly important, how to use AI in the funnel and so forth, but not the prejudice to witness. But man, this is fluffy, not stuffy. Louis, what do you think?
Yeah, I rated it optional. There's nothing new here, and the premise is how AI will completely disrupt and transform the sales process.
Yeah.
Nothing in this article states that or shows how it will be done. It's really they talk about what AI is doing on the leads generation and how agents are used and in other stages of sales process, but nothing to reflect what is actually happening. There are a number of entrants on the startup scene that are really disrupting. They are using information much broadly and tightening the positioning of the message, say in lead generation, so that the return is much higher. So there's a number of innovations happening. This article doesn't reflect any of that. So optional in my book.
Yeah, it seems to be a pointer to some McKinsey articles that have a little bit of data in them. But what do you think here, Paul? You're on mute, my friend.
Yeah, no, I'm struggling, John. We've been talking about this so much. We know we're researching, and everyone's looking for really hardcore case studies and all this. And this is not that yet. On the other side, it is really important. And in the back of my mind, forwardability of an article to a department head is an important part of the AI leader's task. So for that, I definitely have this as important.
All righty. Akash, where are you?
John, I was between optional and important on this one. It does give some examples in terms of how organizations have been able to achieve some outcomes through use of agentic AI in sales, but then they haven't laid them out properly, I would say. There are no details to take away from.
Ashish, where are you?
Case examples, John. They're really, it's sort of very wavy, hand wavy type of an article.
Yeah, I was similarly
article.
Yeah, I was similarly optional, John. It felt like it's very superficial on the surface, scratching kind of the obvious or telling the obvious, or if people are lacking inspiration how to transition or transform sales with agentic AI, maybe it's a decent read, but pointed examples, case studies would have been great in this. I mean, we missed all of that.
All righty. Optional, important, optional.
Optional.
I'm going to give it an optional.
No, optional.
What's that? Optional. I don't want people thinking we have bad taste. Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next one. This one comes from CIO Magazine, and it talks about why versioning AI agents is the CIO's next big challenge.
Yeah, this one for CIO. I mean, a lot of times these are once over lately, but this one's a little deeper, a little longer. What do you think here, Akash?
Yeah, this is a longer one, John. I think so. Basically, it talks about how in traditional software versioning is straightforward. You can track code updates, but these AI agents they evolve very differently. Any sort of new model release or prompt change or tool selection can affect outputs, and their behavior can change overnight, as we saw with when OpenAI released GPT-5. So without proper versioning, trust and compliance can break down. And it also talks about why traditional methods fail to keep up because these agents are non-deterministic. Then it also suggests various solutions on how we can version agents. You can log deployments, track behavioral changes, test them with shadow agents. Then it also provides insight into what are the new tools that are emerging to track those versioning changes. And in the last, it also provides you a market map, which shows how organizations can move from ad hoc deployment to fully autonomous versioning. So all in all, I think anybody who is working on AI agents, who is having trouble with versioning those AI agents, can take some inputs from this and improve their processes.
All right. So the rating is
Important.
Important. After all that, oh my goodness, I thought you were head for Essential. Ludo, what's up?
I would like to make a case for essential agents. At least everybody experimenting with agents, and And it is, so people are still thinking that it's a regular piece of software. It is not. For all these reasons that Ankaj listed in the article, is a good primer to say, look, it's not regular. And so it's critically important, especially for agents in production, to be able to revert to something that is stable. And how do you know which one is stable? And so absolutely, and this is immature space. There are not that many tools. They're starting to come up to keep versioning of these agents. So it's a critical message to folks out there. Pay attention. So
yeah, I thought they did a nice job of laying out, 10 different things we get on the end of the article. They got that laid out. What do you think, Ashish?
I was actually split between optional and important. When I started reading, it was a big turnoff for me. They started stating some things which are very obvious. They're also assuming a world where agents are self-improving and you have no control over them. That's not how today's agents are. I mean, maybe some leading edge folks have agents which are kind of self-improving in sorts.
Yeah.
Most of the agents are some kind of workflow. You have pretty much laid out an agent instruction, giving it some RAG-based kind of knowledge and whatnot. And they're not autonomous and self-modifying yet, right? Which it states up front. So it is a good thought for future, but most of the folks are not here right now. And some of the issues that the writer has pointed out about, hey, you have no control how these agents are improving and becoming different from where you started.
Sure.
Doesn't exist today. It's pretty much like code today, right? You can snapshot its memory, you can snapshot its instruction, and if you upgrade it and you have to, let's say, come back to, you can go back to the previous snapshot. I feel it's looking for a solution or it's looking for a problem that doesn't exist today, but a good futuristic thought.
All right.
I was split between
optional or important.
Optional.
I'm here.
I mean, if everybody's thinks it's super important, I would go towards important, but I was split between the two.
All right, Paul, where are you?
I'm important, and I want to highlight Luda, that this stuff is not software, and I think that the mammal's brain's bringing software thinking to it. These are not mechanistic, traditional software things. These are like live digital creatures. Now, I think the thing that she's just talking about, oh my gosh, you're uncontrolled. So I think the real question is, do you have your digital agent, live creature in a box or controlled, and how much risk is there? Because some of these things, the variability isn't a lot of business risk here. So I think all that thinking needs to get more into the AI leaders' awareness and their team. And I think for John, I know you're not going to talk about is I've got this whole draft of what the SLA starting to look like this in the future here. And so I think that takes a step towards understanding that this is a whole nother class of thinking about digital solutions that's different than mechanistic, deterministic software for the last 30 years. But important.
Yeah, and regular tools would not be able to handle this variability. So I agree with Ashish that we're not there yet, but we're getting there. Even the evals, right? The agents for evals, the agents validating the agent, somewhere you need to capture it, right? As a part of software that that is a stable solution that you can revert to. So I just think it's a very important signal to the leader out there. Pay attention, and as you're laying your stack, you need to think about it because they will evolve. Agents will evolve.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen, like, from a CIO's perspective, what are the categories of things they need to worry about and what's new. That's why I was definitely important, maybe essential. I agree with you. She's ahead of the market a little, but these are very real operational issues that are going to have to be, built into DevOps and Ops, and like real.
John, would you want to ensure that the AI leader forward this to the CIO? I mean, certainly we've got multiple requests from CIOs for the AI framework for the company because they have a board director to do that.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So let's see.
Essential
it is. All right.
Look, if he did say essential, I think there was something wrong with him.
I'm just providing words. Sorry.
All right.
Well, it was a fun little discussion we have. The answer was preset up front.
Hey, I was on the border. All right.
Okay, moving on to the next one. So this one comes from LinkedIn, and it talks about the LinkedIn generative AI application tech stack.
Yeah, so interesting how each of these established platforms and providers are now building in agentic development environments and stuff. It's I think it's really interesting, kind of agents as a control point from a market power standpoint. What do you think here, Ashish?
This was interesting article. I was confused about the story that they're trying to tell initially when I started reading, and maybe I was not in a good mood yesterday when I was reading these articles. But later on, they went into the depth of how they are building, or how LinkedIn is building a tech and an AI stack for themselves and developers who contribute to develop the LinkedIn platform and scale in an agentic way, right? So, I mean, for people who are developing agentic systems, there are good nuggets in here on how LinkedIn is using LangChain, some of the other tools, telemetry of agents, something that you folks were talking in the previous article, right? How do we know if this thing works well and works well as it stays in production, right? Using the open telemetry. So there are lots of good nuggets of how to build a robust system around agentic stack. So I would kind of rate it as important, but I was not sure like what's the big takeaway unless you want to draw corollary of, hey, this is something that we can implement in our business as well.
John, I think you're on mute.
Luna, what'd you think?
I was important. I was thinking this is a good use case or a path of how they did it, and they're sharing it. And I agree with Ashish. There's a number of nuggets of pay attention to this. This is how we did it. That provides good lessons to build a end-to-end agentic pathway here. So I think it's important.
All right, important. Paul, where are you on this?
Yeah, I'm definitely important here. I mean, if we go back to earlier comment about how people aren't providing enough, it's actually how you do it, and not just, I like Ashish's name, articles about inspiration. I mean, it's definitely important. I thought it was a well-detailed article. I really enjoyed reading it.
Yeah.
All right, Akash, we're headed for important.
Important, John. I sort of echo Paul's comment that we haven't seen very many articles getting into nitty-gritties about AI agents, and this one lays it out effectively. So important for me as well.
All right, important it is. Next.
And John and Ashish, Akash, for me, another thing about important is, do I ever want this thing searchable in our database on our public website? And important for me is yes, and optional is no.
Say more about that, Paul. I didn't understand the distinction you're making when you say searchable. Which to be searchable?
Well, because I think over time, first of all, we've seen a lot of industry-specific must-reads that we define as important because they're very, very specific to life sciences or healthcare or law. I think second is that as AI leaders goes forward, they have needs coming up. They need to get smart fast. And one way to do that, they can come to our database of, 2,500 articles and search for key terms. They can look just for essential articles or essential important articles. And I think that's one way that I at least want to make sure this is easily findable by AI leader who's looking for something in the next 4 months.
Paul, it's interesting you say that because yesterday a friend of mine early in the morning yesterday reached out and like, hey, I have a meeting in an hour and I want to get a rev up on agents. Is there something that I can read? And I pointed him to the collection of articles that you folks had and put in a search term. I said, search for this and look at the important articles up top. And you could pick up any of those and that'll give you a primer.
There we go. Awesome. Value added in cyberspace. I love it. Okay. Important it is. Akash, next and last.
Okay, the next one comes from Jupyter Labs, and it talks about Jupyter agents training LLMs to reason with notebooks.
Yeah, Luna, what'd you think?
I rated it as optional. I think it's an interesting angle of how to essentially bring interpretive code execution within the development platform, Jupyter framework, notebooks. And I think it's well explained and useful how they took a small model and trained it, how they put the data together. So it's a good use case, but it's rather esoteric. It's for a small, limited number of developers that would be interested in that, optional.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I was introduced to these. I was introduced to these. Excuse me a second. Quiet dog. Here, Paul, go ahead. Paul, can you go? What do you think? I don't know if Paul can hear me.
What was your view on this?
Sheesh, what did you think on this one?
Yeah, I was like, Luda, good stuff, but optional. It's for a very niche kind of set of audience, data scientists, and most of the data scientists use Jupyter Notebook for early experimentation, so that's good for them. But again, this is a highly qualified kind of role, and they probably have a ton of tools that they are already playing with. What the article says, think of this as a cursor, but for the data science workflow.
Yeah.
So good for them, but I'm not sure if AI Leader would do anything with this unless they want to forward to a data scientist in their team.
And even for data scientists, you will be looking for a very limited group of data scientists. So probably triple optional.
Yeah, we're headed for optional. Paul, you okay with that, Ankash?
Yes, John, optional.
All righty. Yeah, the one thing I was made aware of these Jupyter notebooks about 10 years ago, and they really are amazing for not just data scientists, but science in general. The idea that you can put your paper, your model, and the data right there for replication, and obviously the gold standard of science is the ability to replicate findings. It's really quite amazing to have these active document repositories there. Anyway, optional it is. Ankash, next and last.
Okay, the last one that we have for today talks about how people use ChatGPT.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to rate this absolutely essential. It's a fantastic piece of work done by a series of academics, some of them from Harvard. This has an amazing set of findings. First of all, the data are just something for a data geek. I mean, this is just nirvana, right? You've got 700 million users. You've got like a year's worth of data. Automatic classification. And number of interesting findings here. One of them is that about half of the volume is coming from people 26 and under, and you have to remember that they're cutting out people under 18 in this sample. The majority of 72% of activities have become non-task related, more information finding, so not work related. They categorize things into finding information, doing stuff, and I forget the third category, acting, I think. And they're finding that the people are really using these things for information finding. One of the other things is that they think of it as decision support for knowledge workers. People from professional roles seem to be using it more. People who are more educated are using it more. In addition, people in developing countries are adopting faster. So just amazing. And then they punctured some current beliefs, like it's very little of the interactions are using this as your therapist or anything like that. And I think it was only a little over 4% was using ChatGPT for coding. Now, I don't know how much that is due to market share, the fact that Claude dominates coding versus ChatGPT. But I think this is absolutely essential reading, really well done study, easily consumable, a bunch of good graphics in here. So essential reading from my point of view. What'd you think, Ashish?
Yeah, second that, absolutely essential. This chart is super interesting. That's on the screen right now.
Yeah.
Writing assistance is obviously a large percentage, 28%, but practical guidance around health, around advice, tutoring, teaching, that is phenomenal, because people are starting. I mean, it might have started as an opportunity to excel at work and do differential things at work, but it has now transitioned into daily habits. And I always say, even for our work, right? when you're building new product, cultivating habit takes time, and consistency and trust kind of builds that habit. And again, usage and personal guidance, I feel that's an indicator of people building habit around it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that Google's got to look at this thing and say, wow, we have to make sure we win this, because in terms of information access, the kind of things that you go to Google for. And then on top of that, as you say, advice and the tutoring piece, a big hunk. I think it's about 8-10% are, of queries are people getting tutored on things. I think that's the most, not only do you have intelligence on demand, but the robots are talking back to us and they can explain themselves at any level of specificity. I think it's an amazing teaching tool.
Even the seeking information kind of pillar, 21%, Google should be worried about that number too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But again, I think Google, I wouldn't count those guys out. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
They have more money than God, and they're doing some interesting stuff.
Yeah, and they own the entire stack as well. So
yeah, and the Justice Department's completely asleep. They didn't even make them, divest Chrome, which is unbelievable. I can't believe it. But whatever. Luda, what'd you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. This is a very interesting. For a person who is a geek and likes data, this is certainly essential read. For an AI leader, I think there are nuggets in here of how people are using it, and people are bringing it to work, whether they can or not, whether the environment allows them or not. So there's some really good insights in here. Yeah. So I was between important and essential, and I think the two of you convinced me to go more essential than important.
All right, Ankash, where are you on this?
Absolutely essential, John. I think you and Ashish have made all the points. So yeah, absolutely essential.
All right, Mr. Buyer.
Essential. I think of Luda. I think one thing this really shows is the explosion around the shadow IT. So I think that's one key reason that the AI leader knows it. And I think for me, it's a bigger discussion is the AI underhyped. Ashish, if you look at the TAM for each one of the total addressable market for each one of those categories, Google made a huge business out of just search. Now we have another category called decision support in general, another category called digital tutor. I mean, this is so massive. It's breathtaking. Yeah. And it's being adopted quickly, and technology is improving quickly here. So I think this is good evidence that TAMs are wildly underestimated for this whole AI space.
I agree.
Yeah, my thesis advisor, my doctoral thesis, was one of the people pioneers in the decision support systems field. And his name was Jim McKinney, and it's just unbelievable. I mean, how huge this is. And, the one of the rules of thumb when we did our first work on cyberspace and what we call managing in the market space, you ask yourself, what's a competitive advantage? And there are many to be discovered, but one of them we know, which is if you're first in the demand chain. So if people are coming to chatgpt to solve, as you say, all these different activities, right? If ChatGPT is the first place they go, ChatGPT is going to be able to monetize that, and they've got permission from the capital, from their funders to burn money to grab share. So I mean, I think this is massive, and they continue.
And John, keep going with that. And the traditional way to get the decision support at a high level is to hire knowledge workers at $100,000 plus a year. Yeah. And if you buy into, which I do, 15 million of those jobs are going away in the next 3 years. This is just more evidence of what's coming.
Right. And then they're going to turn around and sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Paul, you're absolutely right. This is actually stating how at the beginning we are and the opportunities that it provides. So yeah, I agree with you totally.
And it's going to be a funny effect too. I agree with some folks who said this, that those out of work professionals are then going to turn around and become independents using this platform. So I think the very device that's going to make them unemployed is also going to be where they're going to turn to as they try to do more innovation and entrepreneurship. Okay, Akash, essentially it is. If you give us a tote, and Paul, you just want to do any kind of quick recap from last night?
Yeah, just absolutely fabulous presentation last night on the changing dynamics of answer engines or generative energy by Rosemary and a few others here. I think a couple key takeaways is how rapidly that's changing. Second is how people really yet don't know the real tactics at work other than putting more questions and answers about your product. I thought Golden made it impassioned plea for companies that desperately listen to their customers and literally start writing down the questions and the answers and get them on the website, particularly front page, to do that. And blocking the AI agents from scraping your site is going to just get you pushed down further here. So really, really good presentation. It's up on our YouTube, and we'll definitely have to come back to this topic again in 60 days or so, because it is really, really moving and having material. And just to highlight that, B1 page article in Wall Street Journal yesterday is about Rolling Stone suing Google for switching down their having more of the traffic go to their AI answers or AI summaries, and it's directly affecting the business here. So we have material damage now being claimed in courts and lawsuits.
All right. Everybody needs to pay attention to that. All right. Any other major things? Nope. Okay. Ashish, thank you for joining us. It's great to be with you, and see you all. Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow.